without the power of God behind everything I do, I really am completely inadequate.
I'm helping the culture. These guys are part of us as well. You know, these are guys of our cousin. I'm helping the culture. I'm pushing the culture forward in another way.
Hey, black child, be what you can be, learn what you must learn, do what you can do, and tomorrow.
What do you do after you read? What do you do after you know all, right? And you can say that you're truly conscious. How are you putting what you know into action?
This is the Initiative Radio Show, shifting the paradigm through conversation on any and everything relating to our communities and culture. Now introducing your new girl, Jasmine Renee.
What's up? Good morning. It's your new girl, Jasmine Renee, here at the Good News Radio Station, bringing to you the Initiative Radio Show. You guys can hear me, I'm assuming, because I see the green light going. And for the past few shows, I haven't, you guys haven't been able to hear me for like the first 5 minutes, but I made sure I took care of that. Happy Saturday. This week has been crazy for me. Jesus Christ. I was so happy for it to be Friday, and which doesn't mean anything because I still have to coach today. So I'm still working until probably about like 4 or 5 in this afternoon. So that's pretty much that. This is going to be a pretty quick show. Of course, I have games today, but we need this to be a quick show, but hopefully you guys get into the chat box and comment and let me know what you guys think of it. As far as things that have happened or are going to be happening in the community, I believe the Hub Radio will be going back live this Wednesday. It's October 10th. So make sure you tune in to them. It's this Wednesday, yes. And they go live maybe around like 8 or 8:30, maybe even 9. It depends. I'll post a flyer for sure. And then I know that the Tiny Closet group or something, I forgot the name, please forgive me, but they are teaming up with Peace of Mind, or Peace of Mind is teaming up with them, I should say, and they're putting on an event today where Deja and Kanai, some people that have definitely listened to the show and some people that I have definitely mentioned throughout the course of the show, they will be performing there, and I believe a few more people. So we will post that if you are free tonight. I don't know if anything else is going on. I know that Spoken Word Sundays, of course, is happening in Long Beach on Sundays, and then there is Unplugged. Shout out to them. They are doing their thing on Tuesday night at the Study. So that's pretty much all I have for the community stuff. Last Saturday, I told you guys about the anniversary party that the Good News threw. Shout out to everyone that was there. Shout out to all the shows for winning the different awards. And shout out to the Good News for being an actual radio station for a year now. So shout out to them. I'm very appreciative to be a part of the brand and to push the movement in any way that I can possible. We have somebody in the chat box. Deja, be there. Oh, Deja's performing. So this is a conversation that's probably for off air. Shout out to Deja Iman. Is this where the secret location thing was? That's my question. Okay, but yeah, that's that. We'll see what's going on with Deja. Deja always puts on a great show. I went to her show maybe about 3 weeks ago in Hollywood, and she was the only one that they asked for a standing ovation. Yeah, so it was pretty cool. She has so much energy when she performs, and I'm like one of her biggest fans. So shout out to her and everybody that's performing this week. Okay, so it is a secret location event thing. So I will definitely be posting that in my story so that you guys can hear about it. But like I said, this week has been a lot. I think just something like when it comes to being transparent and just having moments. So I work with children all day long. My youngest kids, well, during the day I'm working with 3 and 4 year olds, and then I also work in special education. So I'm working with 3 and 4 year olds who, we're trying to help develop when it comes to speaking, when it comes to recognizing certain things. So I deal with that, and it is a lot. It's not as stressful, but it is a lot trying to teach and understand people who do not speak, especially children. And then I go coach girls that are like maybe 14, 15, 16, 17, maybe some 18-year-olds. So throughout the week, this is my Monday through Friday. And throughout the week, like, I definitely do feel like it's not a heaviness, but it's just kind of a lot. It's just a lot on my mind. So just for those of us that are doing a lot, or that have jobs where we do have to constantly be attentive, or that there's people that like are under our care, I think we definitely have to make sure that it's mandatory that we are operating in self-care. We have to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, that we are setting boundaries at some point in time to what things can come into your space and what cannot. I know, like, this week I had a few things that I was supposed to do and literally forgot about them because my mind is just kind of like filled with the different things that go on throughout the day. So even because I've taught so I have 2 jobs basically, and I've taught, and then, you go home around like 4 and I get to go home. So I've did that, and that allowed me to kind of get a break between whatever I was doing in the community and whatever I was doing at school. I kind of could go home, get home around 5. Whatever was happening in the community would probably start around like 7, 8, 9. So I would have those few hours to kind of like regather, or even just change my clothes and take a shower, like little stuff like that. So now that time is not there. So I kind of have to like figure out how to learn new spaces, learn new safe spaces, and learn how to recharge effectively without just throwing my emotions like to the back. So that's a current thing that I'm working on. And no, I love both my jobs. I love them so much, but it is a lot. It is a lot, and they wear and tear on me mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of that. So it's just a matter of kind of trying to like keep things in balance. Now, that's just me talking, and hopefully it registers with somebody. We have some more conversations in the chat box. Keith said, "Are the Crips invited?" Are the Crips invited to what, Keith? Tonight to come see Deja perform? Is that what you're asking? And Keith is supposed to be coming in the studio, so he should be in here in a little bit. Hopefully he'll hop on the mic. But yeah, so yeah, that's just a little bit about what's, me just hoping somebody needed that information, or even if nobody needed it, I hope someone can take that in, and I hope we can grow together when it comes to that. But yeah, Keith has me thrown off. Every time he comments something, it's like something out of the norm. Of course, that's just who he is. But yeah, that's that. Just 2 things so that I wanted to touch on, and hopefully like some conversation can be started from this. With number 1, there was a preacher, I guess she is, and her name, she's actually an actress as well, and she played in the War movie, which was a Christian movie. I did not see it, but I heard a lot of good things about it. I heard a lot of good things about it from people in the church, but I didn't really hear anything about it from people that don't go to church. So I don't know if there's like a bias, but everything that I heard about it was good. And the lady, the actress / preacher's name is Priscilla Shiner. It's not Shiner, it's Shirer. I'm messing it up, but that's her name. So I've seen a few of her sermons, And I've heard a few of her sermons, and then of course saw them like, you know, on YouTube or on Facebook, whatever. And she is someone who speaks well. She's a powerful person, and a lot of people listen to her. A lot of people trust her and respect her. However, she recently, I'm sorry, I'm trying to put music on. I'm sorry, I don't know what this is. Talking. Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry about that. So anyways, she is a powerful person. People, you know, look to her for advice, all of this, whatever. But she recently made a comment or did this sermon about how she's not this black. She doesn't want to be labeled as a black woman, which I think is problematic. One, because that's exactly who you are, and two, because I don't think the church should separate themselves from race. A lot of people go like, oh, there's no, you know, God is not black, white, whatever. Okay, that is fine, but he has made us that way. So in a way, it's like you're saying, oh, the thing that God made me, I don't want to be a part of that. And she kind of made it seem like, oh, well, I don't want people to see me, or when I give my address, I don't want it to be that I'm a black woman. I don't want the fact that I am black to trump that I am Christian. And it's like, it's not that it trumps anything. However, if you look at perspectives and how people see you before they see what religion you are, they will see that you are black, and they will also see that you are a woman. They will most likely see that you are black before they see what race it is that you are. Because, you know, today there's so many different variations of genders and things. So they'll see your race before they see or know for a fact anything else. And I think as someone who is a Christian and as someone who does, you know, I feel like I advocate for the church. I feel like I advocate for God in a way that a lot of people that are around me don't. But I understand wanting to be recognized as a Christian. I understand wanting people to understand that God is first in your life. But I think what a lot of people forsake when it comes to Christianity is that God doesn't want you to leave out your identity, who it is that you are. He doesn't want you to not be who you were made to be. If you are a black woman, if you are a woman, if you are a man, like, he doesn't want you to forsake that. If you are a teacher, he doesn't want you to put that to the side. Now, I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, Jesus did a lot of advocating for the minority group. So it's not about just going out there and just living for God or living the way that Jesus did, because if you look at it, he did a lot of advocating for people that were of the minority. So when you go back to it, it's like, if you are a part of a group that needs advocating for, I don't think taking your identity or what ties you into that group is the answer, especially in being a Christian. Keith has a lot to say. Okay, he said God didn't make black, people did. Melanated is God's work. The identity is human. Is Logic black? Jesse Williams, Kaepernick. I'm not getting into who, though, if they're black or not. They are mixed people. Now, okay, you can say being melanated or melanin is God's work. So regardless, the way that we identify people that have melanin in their skin, more times than not, is with them being black. Now we understand that there are more people that there are other races that have melanin in their skin, but that's how society is viewing them. So I'm not saying the back work or how it was originated. I'm just saying how we recognize it, that people see you for who you are. And God is not asking you to take those things away if it is not going against what the Bible says. So I think things like that are very detrimental to the community, especially coming from like church people, because it now makes me feel like, it's a crime to be black. Because I don't think you hear white people going and saying, oh, I don't want to be looked at as being a Caucasian, just call me a Christian. Like, I don't think, though maybe they are, but I just don't think those messages are being pushed across. I think she's forsaking this title of being black because it kind of carries some type of negative stigma to it. So instead of trying to better the stigma, or instead of realizing that this is just who you are and that you cannot swap a religious ideology for a biological fact, for a biological staple, those things can't be swapped. So, okay, we understand that you're a Christian woman, but then what about the biological part of it? What is your race, or what is it that you identify with? I think that matters, and Christianity, as strong of an ideology as it may be, or religion, I'll say, as strong as an ideology as these religions may be, they cannot take the place of what you are when it comes to race. So, hella dark Cubans and Middle Easterns. Black is more of a culture than a race. Black is a race. Being melanin or being of African descent is definitely a race. Now, if there are dark Cubans and Middle Eastern people, then that's who they are in their culture. There's just a different culture, but what am I trying to say? There's just different hues within that culture. But yes, I think it is very detrimental for her to say things like that, especially being a black woman who I'm sure is experiencing some racist tensions, especially at where she's at in life. So I'm saying, like, in terms of her rank. So I know once you get higher up, you start meeting people where, like, even with Lil Wayne was just like, oh, race doesn't matter to me because white people are not racist to me. So then on the other side, you have white people who are racist who don't have to see black people. And they have so much money where they just don't come in, or they don't come in contact with, or they aren't dealing with, or when they do see them, it's like on a low standard, whatever. And they're thinking the same thing. Well, I don't need to address racism because black people don't come in my circle. So I'm pretty sure that she's touching or has reached certain people like that. And when you forsake, like, your identity, I think a lot of people, it gives them a pass when it comes to someone else who is trying to hold on to their identity. So if I come after her and I'm like, well, I'm a black woman, I'm this, that, and the other, you're looking at me a different way than you're looking at her, even though we're typically the same person. Do you choose your identity, or is it given to you? Your biological identity is given to you, for sure. So that's not choosing. You can choose your religion. You can't choose your race, per se, or the makeup of who you are biologically. Another thing that came up, I don't know if I screenshotted it. Oh, here it is. The lady's name is Bette Midler. And this is why I have a problem with what Priscilla Shirer said about I don't describe myself as a black woman, because I think we're getting forgotten and we're getting, like, tossed around in the sauce, if you kind of understand what that means. Like, and I've said so many times, like, I don't necessarily like the term woman of color when it comes to me. Now, woman of color can definitely be used for some people, and woman of color can definitely be used when it comes to non-black people when they also are not white or not Caucasian. But when it comes to me as a black woman, I want to be labeled as a black woman. I think we often forget the struggle of a black woman. I'm not saying everybody, but I think people in white spaces do. And Bette Midler definitely. I'm sure we all saw the tweet that she put out there, and it was basically, it just said, women are the N-word of the world, raped, beaten, enslaved, married off, worked like dumb animals, denied education and inheritance, enduring the pain and danger of childbirth and life in silence for thousands of years. They are the most disrespected creatures on earth. Now, when you look at this post, talking about women are the N-word of the world, it it highlights women and then it highlights niggas. And I don't know, like, it, when you're saying N-word, it just seems like it's a very inhumane term whenever she's saying it. Like, are you talking about, like, niggas in general, or are you just talking about black men and black males? But either way, if that is what she's talking about, it kind of wipes this perception or the fact that there are black women. And if we look at it and we look at, okay, so how are niggas treated? How are women treated in her perception? And it's like, okay, so then what about the people that are both of those, that are both niggas and that are both women? If you see that there's a wrong, and if you see that these two groups are being treated negatively, then you're definitely going to have to acknowledge the fact that black women are treated, in, at least in your terms, the worst, because they're getting the short end of both sticks. Now, that's not what I'm necessarily saying. I'm not saying, oh, black women are treated the worst, or black women or black men. I'm not having that debate, but I will say, when it comes from a white woman, that those are just things you can't speak up on. I don't think white women in particular are treated the way that niggas have been treated since slaves were brought over from Africa. I don't think that's a thing at all. I do think that there are some injustices when it comes to, like, the pay gap, and then when it comes to abortion, or when it comes to parenthood, when it comes to different abuses that are being dealt towards women. I think they are definitely, there are some mistreatments in there, but it's not a thing where it needs to be compared to black women. And if you're going to advocate for a certain group, if you're advocating for women, you can do your advocacy and bring up enough negatives without bringing up the negatives that other people have suffered. And then she tried to, like, rail in she was like, oh, I realized that, some black women may have felt a way about this, but this is the truth. It is what it is. So then she deleted that tweet and the tweet that started everything, and then she apologized and said, I'm an ally. And it's like, there's no way you can be an ally if you say things like that. And then we get women like the Priscilla lady, and it's like, you feel like you don't have to label yourself as that. So when things like this come up, what side are you on? Do you forsake the black man, or do you forsake the woman? Are you going to advocate for womanhood, or are you going to advocate for niggas? And I have had conversations when it comes to, let's see, like the black feminist movement. And you guys have heard me definitely, and I stand by this for sure. I do want to be an advocate for a black woman, and I believe the term that has been put there is being a black feminist. However, there are connections with that word that connect to, like, the dismantling of men. And if you're a black feminist, it kind of stems towards the dismantling of the black man. And it's kind of a oxymoron if you're trying to advocate for black people or one group of black people and not advocate for the other. I think for a black advocate, it's kind of like, it's detrimental. It's like, just don't advocate if you can't advocate for both, or if you have to tear one down. So in reading this and reading how she's like, I'm still an ally, but if I want to sit with you, or if I, as a black woman, want to agree with the statement, because she still feels this way. The apology was issued because, they had to talk to her and be like, yo, there's people who are upset. You kind of washed out black women and just kind of like shitted on them when you gave this statement. But she still feels this way, and I'm willing to put money on that. But I do believe that this kind of put things into context with me, where she's saying, like, okay, there's niggas and then there's women. So as a black woman, we don't even have a space in this. And not that she's necessarily putting them together, but she's just saying, like, these are two different groups. So, like I said, as a black woman, we don't really have a space in that argument. We're kind of washed out, because when it comes to women who's the face of, when you talk about women in America, who's the face of that? It's a white woman. When you talk about niggas, people are going to think about black men. So there's no space there. So I do agree that I know that black women, we need our own advocacy. We need our own fight when it comes to arguing for our issues, because in the same way where we can get washed out when we're talking about niggas or black men, we can also get washed out when it comes to the white feminist movement, or when it comes to just the feminist movement, because like I said, feminine and woman, when you think of that, you think of white women, and then they talk about their issues and they talk about the pay gap, or they're talking about certain abuses. But when we talk about women in the workplace and black women and the abuse that stems there, so even before the abuse, even before I get into the office, I'm being looked at a certain way. I'm being over-sexualized, or I'm being criminalized because of the way that I look. And that's before I even get a chance to get a paycheck. So those are things that are not being brought up for the black woman. And that's where I feel like, yes, we do need to have our own advocacy. And I feel that, yes, a lot of feminists say like, oh, it's not to tear down the man. But I do think in advocating for a black woman, because the state of the black person is just not at a good point right now, I do feel like it has to be a cohesiveness where the fight for black women has to be with both black women and black men, and the fight for black men has to be with both black women and black men, and the fight for children has to be with both black women and black men. And that's just something that I feel. So I do think we as black women need to find our own lane. We need to stop teaming up with people of color. We need to stop teaming up with white people, and trying to advocate for ourselves, because I don't think it's really gotten us to a better place. I think some people have realized that yes, it looks bad that Tamir Rice was gunned down. It looks bad on camera to see a Mike Brown gunned down, or a Trayvon Martin. It looks bad, but then what about the stuff that we don't have on camera? What about the stuff that's behind the scenes? Those are the things that I think, what's up, Keith? Those are the things that we are like forsaking. Those are the things that we're not talking about. So yes, we can get so many white people to rally and say, oh, Black Lives Matter and they shouldn't have shot Trayvon Martin. But what about the white people that need to be advocating for the children that are in the classroom that aren't being educated properly? What about the neighborhoods or the communities that just are forsaking their children? Who's going to advocate for that when you can't physically see it, and we don't have videos, but you have teachers and you see the ramifications of it when these kids get in the real world? Like, when is that going to become a thing that these allies that we have rally behind? And even if we don't, I feel like we definitely need to, as black people, say we're going to fight for them, and we're going to allow you to see. We're going to better ourselves, and we're going to also tell you about these things that are going on, because there's like a countless amount of things that I feel are like just behind the scenes. And that's kind of like why I started the show, because I feel like almost every time someone comes in the studio, they're like, and I say these things over and over again. I've been saying a lot of the facts, and of course some have been added on and they're new, but I've been saying a lot of these facts and a lot of these stories that I give since I started the show. And every time somebody comes in here, it's like, oh wow, like, you know, where'd you get that from? And it's like, I read about it, or I researched it. Or where'd you get those numbers from? And it's like, I researched it. And just different facts are not being shared. We're all on Instagram, but Instagram is like a fashion show. And it has its like ups and downs, but when it comes to like community and things that we need to do, I don't think we're shedding a light on those things. And I often talk about education, but I think our kids are really like benefiting negatively from the education system, because we don't have people in place that look like them. And then we put them there, and our community is not working with us, whether it's parents, whether it's admin, whether it's a teacher. The community is just not helping. So those are just different things. I want to... Is this sticking out? Keith is trying to fix my...
You're going to be mad about
He said, "I don't have time for that." Keith is getting better with his pictures, but yeah. So that's pretty much it. I want to definitely like give people I want to be a resource and let people know how we can better certain things, how we can like move forward. So those are just some things. I know I didn't say how we can move forward, but those are some things like to look out for. If you have kids, like I say this all the time, make sure you go and know where your child is being educated. Know who's educating your child. Know who's in charge of your child for the 8 hours out the day when you're at work and when you don't have them. And yes, people are always like, I don't have time for that. But it's like at the end of the day, as an educator who has seen hundreds of kids be not miseducated, but not be catered to, as a parent, I'm just going to do it. Even if I think my child is being put in a really good school, I'm going to make sure like, okay, is this teacher beneficial to my child? And then another thing we talked about, a lady commented and she was just, I asked the question, I was like, is it beneficial to your child for them to be the only black person in the classroom? And she said that she had went through that, and the teacher kind of was always assuming that her child, her black son, was always the one doing wrong in this setting. And now I've taught in predominantly black classrooms, but I do feel like it is detrimental to have your child in a space where they cannot see themselves around or when they cannot relate to people. So I'm not saying you need to have your child around all black teachers, but I think there has to be a cultural awareness that your child has to develop at some point in time. I don't want to raise a black son or daughter and him have no idea about just black people, or just have no like black friends. And when we say like black friends, a lot of the times there's this negative thing where it's like ghetto and bad boys that can't sit down. That's not the thing. Where if you as a parent put your child in a good environment and you align yourself with other parents that are also on the same, path as you are, the friends that your child will encounter will hopefully they'll be able to grow each other. It won't be a thing where it's like, oh, well, my child is good and she's always sitting down, but so-and-so, when we get around their kids, they can't sit down and they can't be quiet. Like, no, I think you as a parent, once you have your child, you also have to watch who you're bringing your child around. Watch who your child is seeing you hang around. That's like a real primary thing when it comes to just raising children. And no, I do not have any children. But I am an educator and I see a lot of things that parents don't see with their children. I see how your children are acting when you're not there. I see, those things that your child is like wanting to do that they do at school that you think your child just would never do. I see those things and I'm like, maybe if at home, if they're not getting exposed to certain things, or if you are keeping them around people where they're able to see positive images, where they're able to see you go to work, if you're taking them to work with you and they're understanding like hard work and they're understanding that you're putting in a lot of time into a craft and then they're able to see like what's coming after that, I think that benefits your child. And I bring up this, and Keith is in the studio and he's doing that now with Peyton, but my parents are business owners. My mother owns a daycare. And even back to my grandparents, my grandmother owns a preschool, my mother owns a daycare, and my grandfather and my grandfather and my father both separately own their own trucking businesses. And then we also have the church. So I've been seeing accountability. I've seen leadership. I've been in meetings with them. I've been with my dad. My dad worked Monday through Friday, and I've seen him go to his truck on a Saturday and go work on his truck when this is supposed to be his off day. And he would take me, and I learned that, yes, even though you have an off day, that doesn't mean that you're granted time off. Sometimes you have to put in work. And I learned that. So then now when it comes to radio or like my business or even teaching, yes, like there's sometimes when I'm grading papers, I have to go sit, and I'll sit at like, what is the place? Soup Plantation. And just sit there and grade papers. Well, it's healthy, and I don't want to be sitting there eating like bad food. So I'll be sitting there for hours and grading paper. And even though I'm off the clock and I'm not getting paid for this, I'm not mad at the fact that I have to put in extra hours. I'm not mad that I have to put like extra, notes on a child's paper, or even when it comes to me going to football games or me talking to my kids, like those are things that I will never ever get paid for. The payment for it will be like when I see my kids, doing well. And even as I like travel on, and I'm in a different district now. I'm not with the kids that I was with for 2 years. And I'm still seeing my kids, and I'm still seeing parents. Like, even now that I'm coaching, I have like 2 or 3 kids that go to the school that I'm coaching at, and they come up to me and show me so much love. And the love that they show me is kind of my payment for the time that I put into them when I was there. So those are just different things that I think we have to pay attention to. And then also to, like I was talking about, to those of us that are trying to like build and create things for ourselves, we have to like make sure you and you have kids, make sure you're showing your kids like what it is that you're doing, because my dad was probably like I just have to bring her because her mom is getting her hair done or whatever. And my parents were married. It wasn't like they were, like my dad just was coming to pick me up. But if I wasn't with my mom, or she was doing whatever, or maybe my mom was like out at church, whatever, he probably was just like, oh, she's just coming and she doesn't want to come. But now that I'm grown, I'm able to see and put those things into play with myself. So, whether you are like a cousin, an aunt, or an uncle, even if you are a parent, like let your child see what it is that you are doing. Let their idle time be filled with what it is that you're showing them, so that their idle time is not filled with what they see on Instagram and what they see on TV. Let their idle time be wondering, like what Keith is doing with Peyton, like what is my dad doing in the studio, or like who are all these people. Like let that be what your child is thinking about. If it is that you are growing a brand or whatever it is, if you're cooking all the time, like let your child's idle time be helping you cook, or their idle thoughts be like, why does my mom or why does my dad continue to do this? Or they must really love food because they're always in the kitchen. Let that be what your child's like outside thoughts are, even when they're not with you. I think that's a very key thing. But if you are just now tuning in, this is the Initiative Radio Show here at the Good News Radio Station. And this is your new girl, Jazz Renee, having just some real conversation about some things that I feel are necessary when it comes to community, when it comes to our kids, black women and black men. One thing that I'm really tired of seeing, let me get to these comments and then I'll let you guys know. Keith is now in the studio. Do you want to say something on the mic, Keith? Is this 4?
Yeah, I'm always intrigued by how attentive you are to what's actually happening, with your age.
Oh. Because, I'm a child.
Yeah.
Am I still the youngest at the studio?
I think it's out of you. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, currently right now. And, the station just got a little bit older. So,
really?
Yeah, so which is cool. We got some new stuff coming. But ultimately, what you were saying about children, I always think about that. Like, what is my kid doing at school, And because I substitute teach, and still from time to time, but I used to do it heavily.
Right.
And I would say you're spot on with a lot of those things,
They do, like, a lot of crazy stuff. And parents come in like, my child would never. And it's like they do it every day. Like,
parents really don't. Educators do raise these children. And they raise them in bunches. Yeah. On top of that. Yeah. It's not a lot of one-on-one time. So, yeah. That's why it's important for the parents out there to know that it's not about, the school is not supposed to teach your kids everything. Actually, most of the things are not taught at school. Yeah. It's showed at school. Yeah. And then it's taught at home, it's presented at school and it's taught at home. So, I think parents don't take enough initiative when they get home with their kids, honestly. Yeah. They're so busy.
Because now it's, I don't have kids, but it's this generation where we're doing stuff like this. Whereas when I was growing up, Saturdays, like I said, if my dad had to go to the yard, he did. But my mom and dad were taking us to games all day Saturday. And then we went to church on Sunday, and then we were back at it, Monday through Friday at school. But when we got out of school, there was no work. There was nothing that was being done. Like maybe I remember on Saturdays, like if my mother or my father was speaking at church on Sunday, I would see them like preparing for whatever, but it would be like after we were asleep or something. But but they weren't working on anything else.
Right.
They had their business. My mom's business worked Monday through Friday. Once she closed at 6 on Friday, Saturday and Sunday was for us. And she worked at home, so she did her Monday through Friday. But it was like, it wasn't anything extra where it's like, oh, I got to get up and go to the station, at this time of night.
Yeah, things were a lot more simple.
Yeah.
Degrees mattered. The need to create your own type of brand wasn't as necessary as it is now. There wasn't any Instagram. There wasn't as much social pressure to identify as somebody and be somebody as it is now. There's a lot. We've seen benefits from it. We've seen people be better parents because of it.
Right.
I say that all the time. I think that a lot of men have stepped up and a lot of women have allowed men to step up because of the pressure of social media.
Yeah.
So,
you gotta have your child on social media.
And if for the parents that are busy, if you're listening out there and you are, well, I'm just so busy. I'm busy as hell, but I always remember my mentor said I could be busy helping you. Right. And I always thought about that. Like, I'm always busy, but I could be busy. Be busy doing stuff with your child. There can be times, just like there's times that you can't be talked to when you're at work. You got to set out times you can't be talked to when you're with your child. Me and Peyton read I don't care what's going on, or how busy I am. We're going to take this time out and we're going to read every single day. That's something that we do every day, even no matter how busy, no matter what meeting I got. If I'm in a rush, she in a rush. We got to do it right now. But we're still going to get it in because I know the importance of it. Yeah. So, just take that time out and be busy with your kids too.
I think that's a necessary thing. Be busy with your kids and let it. And that's the approach that I take with my kids is I let them follow me on Instagram. I let them know certain things. And like I said on a few shows, I had a kid maybe sometime last year. I had walked up and he had came in and he graduated already. And he was like, oh, yeah, Miss Jasmine, I see you on the good news or whatever. And I'm like, I wasn't expecting in that environment for anyone to say the good news. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And he was like, on your Instagram and the radio, whatever. And I'm like, oh, y'all be checking.
Right.
And I was just like, oh, okay. So then they all now they know, or they'll be like, what do you be rapping or something? What are you doing or whatever? And I'm like, no, I do radio. So they have the link. They can listen to the show. And they follow me and I let them follow me. I let them see my students ask now. Well, not that they ask now, but when I was in Asia, it was just one of those things where they were like, where are you at?
Right.
And I'm like, I'm in Asia, but I don't even know if when I was a middle school or a high school, if I really knew someone that was traveling.
I think that we did. We just weren't able to
see it.
See it, so we didn't know what to ask. My teachers always say, I'm so much more than a teacher. I do so much more than this. Y'all have no idea. I go to the movies, I do regular stuff,
And you don't think that teachers do.
Yeah, because people are identified with what they do. And that's that's something to think about. People are identified with what they do. So, that's who you are and what you do is, like I said, it matters more now.
Right.
In today's climate.
Right.
So,
it's, and it's stuff like that. I just want them to be able to see someone that they can relate to, someone that's not too far ahead of them in age, but they're able to live a cool life. But then I still come back and I'm still a part of the community. It's not that I'm just oh yeah, I'm bougie, I'm living my best life and moving on.
I'm bad at that. That's something I struggle with. I struggle with
staying connected.
I really don't feel like I'm from Inglewood, and I don't rep it as hard as some people do. I don't feel like Inglewood gave me an advantage of anything. I don't feel like it did. I feel like everything was done by just me navigating through. So I don't know. Maybe that's something I need to do or change up. But that's something I don't like. I don't go back and I came from here or I came from this. So let me get. I don't feel that. I don't feel like it. I don't know. It could be a bad thing.
But I feel like there has to be a place where you did. So, even if it's not Inglewood, but there's an aspect of something. So, even with me, I was raised in Carson, but I hooped.
Right.
So, I hooped from 5 until I was, 21, 20.
Right.
So when it comes to giving back, that's what I give back in. So that's why I coach now. And I don't know why I keep getting these coaching jobs because I haven't asked for it. And my first coaching job was at a junior college. And that kind of just fell in my lap. And then I was asked to coach at a high school. And I'm like, this is not no like, oh, we're at the park. This is the volunteer hours.
No,
like, this is a job. These
people.
are girls that are trying to get to the next level.
Right.
Even with the junior college and the high school girls. So I'm just like, those things keep falling into my lap. And I'm glad because I don't like doing things for nothing. And not that coaching, like Park League of Little Kids, is doing it for nothing. But I love having a huge impact. And that's why I like middle school. And then now I'm in special education. So I'm like, the impact that I'm leaving in special education, for sure, like, these kids, this is the first time that they're learning, period. And I'm the face that they see. I'm the face that's giving you your ABCs at this point, even though you can't say them back to me. I'm the face that's showing you how to count. I'm the face that's telling you what your colors are. And then with middle school, people hate middle school. Yeah, and I'm like, I loved it.
I don't focus anything outside of high school.
I need a challenge. And I think that's why, like, with me coaching at the junior college level and then coaching at the high school level now is just like, it was only right for it to be my first, like, experience doing it because I need the challenge and I'm gonna meet up to the challenge like quick because I just learned on the go. So it's like,
I mean, I think it's gonna be interesting. I've my Peyton's goddad, he's been coaching forever. Michael from Courtside Radio, he coaches at, he's a coach at one of the coaches at Lusinger.
Okay.
So it's interesting to see the lifestyle of a coach. I think that's like if I wasn't doing radio, I always said I'd be coaching football.
Really? Why don't you coach now? Don't have time. Yeah,
because I would right now. That time is probably for my kid.
Right.
I think maybe when I get older, that's something I would do. Snoop is somebody I seen do it, and Snoop inspired me to do it. Okay. So I've always wanted to, and he did. I'm like, when he do it, I know his schedule busier than mine.
Right.
So the mindset that I'm too busy is not necessarily the case. So I just put it on the fact that I'd rather, 100% give it to her currently. And when she gets older, I'll be able to do something like that. Right. So,
Yeah. Because I
Coach Keith, y'all send me out there, though.
Coach Keith, running
the
Good News League.
Yep. I'm telling you, man. Hey, I'm telling you, man. You saying it, and we're going to go back to this show a decade from now.
What is this, October 9th, 8th, whatever?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it's different. And I tell my girls, like, and I get on my girls a lot. Like, I'm crazy, and I'm just like, yo, I don't, like, and I tell them, like, I'm an adult now, and I don't put myself around people that don't believe in themselves.
So let me ask you. You say you're an adult now. At what point or what age do you feel like that you went from
a kid to an adult,
from adolescent to adulthood? I want to know your answer.
I don't know. I feel like it's it's something that's going on in like real time. So I can definitely tell that there's a switch where you're like, I'm grown, but you know that you're still in like a child's mindset. Mm-hmm. So now I feel like I've switched over to the point where it's like, okay, I know that I'm more grown than having the child's mindset, but I know that there's still a lot of like adulting that I need to do. But I'm doing more adulting.
You don't go from grown to an adult at one point even.
Right. Because I'm like, okay, yeah. And I was talking to my god sister last night, and I'm just like, yeah, we're like 23. And even at work, I thought they were the same age as me, or they were trying to figure out if they were the same age as me. And I was like, how long have you been here? And they were like 10 years. And I'm like, I was 13 10 years ago.
Right.
I'm like, you've been teaching? I mean, I think they're like an 8 or something. And they were like, yeah, I've been here for 10 years. And I'm like, yeah, I was 13.
Most people
you were probably, you had people that are my age.
It's comfort.
Yeah, so I'm like, for me, and I was telling my god sister, like, we're 23. We've only been grown by society for 2 years?
Right.
And I'm like, we're now going through that baby stage again where, because they say the first 3 years of your life, you're growing the most. You're learning how to eat. You're learning how to talk. You're learning how to use the bathroom properly. Mm-hmm. Like, of course, you have accidents. Of course, the transition from crawling to walking, you're going to fall and bump your head and cry or whatever. But I'm like, that's the stage that I'm in right now. But you do become a toddler, and you do become someone that's in elementary school. You do become older. But that's just where I'm at right now. And I'm like, I definitely have felt the shift from instead of more childish ways, more adult ways.
I mean, even
now.
from last year, I mean, just hearing your conversations from a year ago. I've known you about a year now, right?
Yeah,
about a year now. And you know, it seems so much longer though. You know, this
it
year
does seem long.
has felt.
It went fast, but it feels like I've known you for a long time.
I like long days. I always say I like long ones. Who wants short days?
Right.
You know what I mean? I like long days. Right. I like long years. I like long months. I love it. But the interesting thing about you, I've seen the development in you just from 1 year, and because you're still at an age where the growth is so rapid. It's not as fast as when you were 3. Right. But the fact that you can still put things into your brain right now that will hold on forever. I mean, this is biological. You know what I'm saying? I don't know none of this shit. But your brain stopped developing at 25. That's when you're not capped off, but you kind of have to reopen it to put something back in it. Right. Versus it's just wide open up until you're 25. Your brain's fully developed, and I think that you are moving at a pace to where, you know, you'll be able to develop a lot faster than the average 25-year-old when you're there. And then it's going to seem like when you're 25, you know, you're going to have the mentality of somebody that's 30 years old. You know, so
appreciate that.
Yeah. So I mean, I mean, it's crazy. You still got 2 more years for your brain to literally grow. 23,
yeah. So I mean, it's a journey, and it's. But then a lot of people, like, you know, they hear things like that, and then they're like, oh yeah, like, you know, it must be amazing. But I'm like, even with the trip, like, there's a lot of accountability that comes for someone with the person that is aware. There's a lot of accountability, and I tell people, like, even with my jobs, like, so with my special ed class, they're 3 and 4. And then I leave, and it's literally a 20-minute window until I get to practice. And now I'm with 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And I'm like, my mind is constantly like, as this 23-year-old, like, we kind of in the same bracket, whereas, like you said, our brains are not fully developed, but I'm in charge of you at this point. So I'm like, I tell people, like, it's a lot, and because I'm aware of myself, I now become aware of these players.
Yeah, and not only that, even though just because you're, let me clarify this for the ones in the back who didn't really understand it. You got it, but your brain not being developed doesn't mean that your philosophy isn't developed. Right. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that means that you're just ahead of the game. You know, Jim Rohn says the day you become the day you cross over from adolescence to adulthood is the day you start taking full responsibility for every action and every result that happens in your life. So a lot of people, we still have a lot of blame. You know what I mean? We still blaming other people for mom, whatever circumstance or whatever. But the reality is that, you know, you still not an adult yet if you haven't taken full responsibility. And when you do, your actions seem to change, you know what I'm saying, automatically. I think that you take a lot of responsibility for a lot of things. I've never heard you blame anybody else for something. You know, I've heard you be in the wrong and then still take fault, even though you felt you would be like, okay, yeah, I did kind of do that. You know, you don't mind taking responsibility even for your actions if you know at that moment you was, you know. And I think a lot of people don't have that ability. A lot of people that's my age don't have that ability. So, you know, that's the day, to me, that's when you become an adult. To back to the point was the day you start taking responsibility.
It's not easy at all. Like, people, you know, and people, you know, because you even told me the first time I went to New York, you was just like, you gonna come back with so much clout. Like, people associate that with like a certain level of a person. So I'm like, people, oh, you living your best life. Like, every time they see me, oh, you went to Asia, all of this, whatever. And I'm like, people don't understand, like, it's not an easy thing. Like, it's not easy doing all of this. Like, yeah, you see me on the Good News. You see me rocking with the Hub Radio. You see me coaching and teaching. But I'm like, okay, so there's one person doing all of this. Like, it's not an easy thing. Like, yeah, I get on and make it look cool. But I'm like, it's not easy. And then even going and forcing growth and knowing that, like, okay, if I'm not going to be in L.A. growing my brand, then I definitely have to come back to L.A. grown, like a growing person. I have to be more grown, or mentally, like, my mental has to grow more before I come back.
I have to disagree with you somewhere.
Where?
It is easy.
Of course you would say that.
This shit is easy. You know why it's easy? Because what was once hard is now easy.
True.
And the reality is that it's maybe hard to other people, but for people like myself, people like you, that shit's easy.
It takes effort.
It's hard to not do nothing. Try being bored.
It's hard to not do nothing.
Try being bored. Last time I was bored was probably in 2014 when I was going through a mass depression. I was extremely bored. I didn't have an idea. I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. You know what I mean? So when you're bored, that's when it's hard. You know, but it's shit easy for you.
So we'll take out the word easy, but there are constant things that need to be done.
Yeah, you gotta take action.
It's accountability, and you have to and growth is not. It's not always the easiest.
I'm gonna say what's actually hard? Like think about it. Like come on, hold on. I'm about to break it down to you. Hold on, we about to go into what's actually hard, Jazz. Like what do you do that's hard?
It's nothing that's hard.
Oh, so it's easy.
It's everything put together.
So what do you do that's hard?
Nothing is hard.
Oh, okay.
Nothing is hard.
Yeah.
It's finding time.
No, you can't find time.
Okay,
time is already there.
So delegating different things for certain time.
Oh, that's not hard.
It's not hard.
It's easy. It's by numbers. 1 + 1 is 2. That's the easiest as it gets. Okay,
right.
It's 24 hours. Let me see how I'm gonna split them up.
Right.
That's easy.
It's not hard, and maybe because it comes off, and I'm not worn down and torn down. I don't feel like, oh my God, I just got to stop. But it is a lot.
No, it's not.
It is a lot.
Is
and
it?
you know it's a lot. It is a lot.
But is it enough? Don't you want more?
It's not enough.
Don't you?
No.
Oh, so it can't be. See, if it was a lot, that would mean that it's too much.
Okay.
And it's not a lot. It's a little bit.
It's
you want
just
more.
A constant uphill battle. We'll say that. More. It's a battle.
It's a battle?
Can we say that?
It's a battle? It's a cakewalk.
It's some type of workout.
No, it's not.
It's not a walk.
No, it's easy. See, because people who run cross country, it's easy for them to run a mile.
Right.
See, that's easy. But for somebody who don't run, it's what? It's hard. Right. For you, it's easy. You've been running for a long time.
Right.
So it's easy for you to continue to run this. It's easy. It's nothing. But for somebody else, it may be hard. But I'm not selling the story that's hard. I'm selling a story that is easy. Because when people think it's hard, they won't even try.
Yeah.
And then they think it's easy, and then they realize it's hard. For them.
Yeah.
But do what's hard for a long time, it'll become easy.
And I think that's what it is. Because even now, I'm just at a point of before I left, I was just like, okay, there needs to be something new has to be added. So, and this new thing didn't even come to me until I got back.
Right.
And it was just like, okay, so now, even as of right now, I'm just in planning phases or the planning stages. And then even trying to get to a point of finding a team. And yeah. I'm very selective of what you want to say. I gotta talk to God, whatever. But I'm not everybody can put their hands on this. So even if at one point in time, someone does come into my mind, I'm I need to make sure, because you might come into my mind, but then you might not be there in a week. So I'm before I hit you up, it's a constant.
I'll
thing.
say this is the only response, and I used to have that same issue. Jim Rohn, he's the Godfather. If you listen to the Monday Morning Show, he's in my intro. But he says, we spend so much time on trying to get everybody to 100, or we spend so much time trying to turn everybody to an ace. In a deck of cards, it's 52 cards, right? But how many aces is in there? It's only 4. But then you also got kings, you got queens,
right?
You got jacks. They all valuable. Are they as valuable as the ace? Absolutely not. But it's a deck of cards. You're never going to get more than 4 aces. And he said, even let's break it down in percentages. You're trying to get everybody to do 100%. Just let the 30s do the 30s to their best ability. That's 30%. You only got to do 70 now. Let the 40s do the 40s to their best of ability. That's what they do. That's the type of person they are. 40.
Right. So
let them do 40. And then you start just appreciating the work that they do, and you don't even trip on what they don't do, because it was all up to you anyways. Yeah. You an ace. You do 100%.
Yeah, so that's the season
that
I'm in, and I guess I gotta.
People gonna want to be a part of what you're doing because they want to be aligned with who you are. Damn, I want to get off this mic in a minute. No, but for real, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Because no matter what you were doing, people would still want to align with you.
And there's so many people, because you literally, after the first time, and I've literally been, and I told you, I think I told when you and Rob brought up Milwaukee, I was like, I guess it's just the year of me traveling.
Right.
I had no idea I would be in Asia for almost a month.
Right.
And I was like, I guess this is the year of me traveling. And I spoke that.
Yeah.
I went to New York, 3 times, went to Milwaukee, and then went to Asia.
Yeah.
Went to 5 countries in Asia. So I'm just like, at this point,
you did what you want. You did what you said you was
right.
gonna do.
And then I'm still working. I'm still like, it's not like, and a lot of people are now like, oh, I need to quit my job. But I'm like, for me, I love what I do. So it would be hard. I would be losing an aspect of me if I were to quit my job and just focus on this. Now, I have to make the decision to, okay, sometimes I got to be up a little longer. Now, when someone else could plan the radio show in the morning and then do whatever they got to do later, I got to go to work 2 jobs and then get off and maybe plan the radio show Friday night or like Saturday morning or just screenshot stuff throughout the week. Or maybe between practice and school, I got to do it while I'm sitting, on my way.
And that's okay, because the reality, I mean, for the last 2 years, I've been working Saturday and Sunday. 2 years, weekends. I'll have to, if it's something going, I get off on the weekend whenever I need to. But I work at the station. I work at KBC and KLOS Saturday and Sunday for the last 2 years. I sacrifice my weekends so I can learn, so I can become better, whatever the case may be. And I use that as an example because when I first started 2 years ago, I was making a master's degree. I took a job for $13 an hour just letting people in the door. That was just to get in the door. But, I say that to say that it wasn't, I knew that it was going to take so much of my time. I knew it was going to cost me my weekends, time with my daughter. But it was a sacrifice for the better overall benefit of what was happening. And I think that's what you kind of talking about, like making some type of sacrifice for the overall benefit. You may have to stay up later. That's okay.
Right.
You don't want to go to sleep anyway. Are you a sleepy person? Are you a person that loves sleep?
I don't like sleep because I don't sleep a lot.
It takes so much time to fucking rest.
Yeah. I need like 4 to 5 hours. And that's probably like, that's all that I'm getting. But
if I go to bed before midnight, I literally feel guilty. I will have to like have like extremely early morning and long day for me. Be like, oh, I can go to sleep at 10:30 and feel. If I go to sleep before midnight, I literally feel like I've cheated myself. I don't love sleep.
I don't love it either. Yeah. And even I come on here and I'm like, because even last year around this time it was the same thing. I was having to get up early, probably do the show around 9 so I can stop at 10 so I can run to the game, or coming in on like a Thursday and pre-recording so that the show will be live on Saturday. But I'm like, my Saturdays are so full. We'll have like 2 to 4 games and there'll be, like we'll have one at like 12, one at 3, one at 5, one at 7 or whatever. And I'm like, I, in my heart of hearts, love having, like you said, long days like that. Long days where I deserve to now take my nap or take my rest. I deserve to now do that and then get back in and get back up and do it all again tomorrow.
Right.
But I think I haven't had, I think since I've been back, when I got back, because I got back from Asia, went to New York for like 3 days and then came back out here. I took that next day off and I was back working and I haven't took a day off since I came back. And sometimes you got to work 21 days straight, 14 days straight.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to do that to impress yourself, But like I said, just if those efforts are moving towards what you want it to be, ultimately what you're trying to do. If you spend that much time on progress versus maintenance,
right.
I think that you're in the right space. Ain't no problem. Yeah. Ain't no problem. So now you've grown an identity with traveling. You've grown an identity with, brands. And I would say most importantly, you became impeccable with your word, which is when you say you're going to do something or you got an idea, it's a good chance that it'll get done or you're going to act on it. And we all throw out ideas like, oh, I'm going to do that.
Right.
You know how many businesses I said I was going to start in my mind? You know what I'm saying already? How many apps I was going to develop? But the reality is we do that all the time. But when you do it, from my experience, you know what I'm saying, it's the percentage is higher than most people of things that you're going to do. And a lot of people, you already know.
Right. So it's, and I think we kind of are in, like, the perception that we have of ourselves, and this is to, like, people listening, the perception that we have of ourselves is a lot different from the perception that people see. And I think those ideas and things, like, I think sometimes we have to sit on them for a little bit and ask ourselves, like, are you going to push this? And if you are questioning it, then don't push it out there. But then the things that you know you're going to push, like, even the thing that I told you, like, I'm holding myself accountable. I hit up somebody else, too, and I'm just like, yo, I'm just hitting you up to hold myself accountable because I know that you're expecting this letter from me. And I'm like, I don't want to call you and tell you about this. I want this to be written out. I want you to be able to read this so that when I send it to other people, they're able to read it off tops and I don't have to get on the phone. And I'm like, that's working smarter, not harder. If I got to get on the phone and call everybody and be like, oh, yes, this and this, rather than just sending a letter out, I'm like, those are less phone calls that I got to make throughout the day. So I'm like, okay, you going to hold me accountable. I got to have a letter ready. I'm not going to call you. We're not going to meet up or nothing like that. I'm going to have a letter ready, and I'm going to send it to you, and you let me know if you want to be a part of this. If we're good, we rocking. All right,
but
cool.
Now let me ask you this. I'm going to challenge you again.
Yes.
You're right. I think working smarter is a great thing.
Right.
But I also think working smarter and working harder is the best option. Because now you cut down the time.
This is 24/7.
Because then you have the impact of a personal meeting is so much different.
It is.
So you got to have an impact on each person you come across.
But the impact with expectations. So instead of me going like, hey, can we have a meeting and you don't know, I've already listed everything that we need to talk about. There's no really an introduction that needs to take place. You are now coming with questions for me.
Oh, I agree.
Rather than me having to go and then you being confused and then you asking questions, I'm sending it to you. You now run me back your question.
Okay.
Shorter
minute. Now, what if you did this, working smarter and harder? What if you made that initial phone call and say, hey, I'm going to send you over that letter. You know, read it, and then we'll set up a meeting and we could talk about it. The reason why I say that, because now what you're doing, you're setting up a linear effect. And the thing is that everybody has to have something to follow up to feel everything requires a process. If you put people through a process, no matter what, on the end, they'll be more committed. What happens is there's no process for things. And then people just detach from them because they didn't have to do anything.
Right.
You know, so I think it'll be the process will be better for them and also better for you, because even if it doesn't work out, you've made a major impact on them.
Right.
And that usually builds a relationship for later. And I've learned that through experience, you know, just having an impact on people by just communicating with them, you know, personally, whether it be by phone. And then, you know, if that works out, you know, send that. That's some shit I don't do. I'm not very smart. I just know how to work my ass off.
Right.
But I'm not that smart, so that's a good idea.
He said I'm not that. No, he's very smart.
But for real though, I think if you add those things in, it will every time you're gonna get whatever you want out of the situation every time, just because you were the smartest and you still did the hard work to go along with it.
Yeah. So that's me. Heard it from me and Keith. We're putting our minds together
all the time.
Yeah.
Masterminding.
I mean, yeah, I'm currently working on something that I think should be everything that I do will benefit the community. I don't do anything to really benefit Jasmine Gates. But
I know, let's do a Jasmine Gates benefit.
I don't know. And you and Rob tell me all the time, and I'm like, yo, I don't know. What am I going to? I don't know. Like,
I don't know either. You know what? I still don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on in here. We just throwing shit and see what sticks on the wall. You know, and a lot of times you just start, you know, it's a thing called shitty first draft, which I learned in grad school, which is one of the best concepts. If you say, I'm going to write a shitty first draft, that makes you feel different about writing that draft. Most people try to write the first one perfect.
Right.
And then a lot of times if you get the mentality, I'm going to write a shitty first draft, you just start the process.
Right.
And then you end up liking the draft anyways. So just do a shitty first draft, or whatever it is.
That doesn't help anything.
I mean, whatever. If whatever you want to do. If you want to throw a party, if you want to, you know what I'm saying, throw whatever. I mean, do a shitty rough draft. We had our game night, the Halloween game night last year. I don't think, did you come last year?
I didn't come last year.
It was a fun time.
It was Halloween?
Yeah, we did it last year. This is our second one.
I knew you guys. I don't know why I didn't.
Well, it was in October. We was here in September.
Right, so it was a month after.
It was like a month.
But I don't even remember hearing about it.
Well, I mean, it was a lot going on at the time. But a lot of people came out, but we having our second one, and we expect this one to be, you know what I'm saying, a better second draft, essentially. Right. So, you know, just try shit. We didn't know if a game night was going to work. Who the fuck, you know, who knows? You can do whatever you want because you have because of who you are. It doesn't matter what you do. It's who you are that matters the most. And no matter what you do, who you are, well, people are going to want to align with who you are. So, naturally it's going to happen. For real.
We're going to have to see. But I have two projects.
Do a fashion show.
Do a fashion show?
I'm just saying.
I did fashion shows in high school.
Yeah. So, why not? Or... some shit. I don't know. I just feel like that's something that you could put together. You know what I mean? I don't know. But
put some type of event together. We gonna see. But this, yeah. So like and this is the process, like I was saying, there were some things that I wanted to do, but I was just like, yo, you are not gonna follow through on that. And I think that's my driving factor is community. So when I find something that's gonna benefit the community, even like these shirts, like these shirts, from what I've received from people, is like it makes me feel or them feel like
you like wearing
I'm
it.
Here.
No, when I wore it again yesterday, and I just felt cool wearing that. Like it's like, and when I was walking by, a white person was like, "Yeah."
White people love, and we're talking for those of you guys who can't see. We're talking about the "I'm a New Black History Maker" shirt. So,
I'm telling you, man.
So I designed them and got them printed out.
You can put on talent shit. I mean, you do all kind of shit. I mean, just you have this. This is a good marketing campaign, for the initiative, and I think that you spot on. I think you took your time with it and you chose very wisely. And a lot of people don't do that. They don't choose wise enough. They just get an idea and they put it out. Blah, throw up.
Right.
I think you really did. You looked at the impact. You looked at the result. You looked at how people will be affected. It represents what you represent, and it's not offensive, and then it caters to the older generation as well as the new generation. Right. I think you did it well. I think that's. I mean,
thank you. I appreciate.
Well played. Well, that's a good chess move right there. That is a good chess move.
I appreciate that. But it's the I Am a New Black History Maker t-shirts, and literally because I started the blog, I was literally writing a blog out and finishing the blog. And my closer for that blog was going to be, and she is definitely a new Black history maker. And I was like, I kind of sound like something. Like, that kind of holds weight. And then I titled the whole blog that, and then people were like, you should put that on the shirt. You should put that on the shirt. And I'm like, yo, let's do it. Because like you said, like this is, if I saw this, I would buy it.
You don't give a damn who makes it.
I don't care.
You don't care.
If I saw this, I would buy it. And I'm like,
by putting your
of course. People are like, where do you? I'm like, just look on this shirt. Hey. And then when they take a picture and they're looking at the picture, they're gonna be like, thank you, I appreciate that.
That is an adult move, and a lot of people wouldn't.
And and then shout out to you and Bruce, because you guys wear your stuff all the time. So I'm like, I saw that, and I'm like, I have my shirts before, and I'm like, yo, but like this, I have them in every color. I wear it all the time. My kids are like, I am a new Black history maker. So like they read it, my coworkers read it. Like I literally sell them at work.
Yeah,
like
it's dope. It's
people
easy
are
to read
always
too.
asking. Yeah, and people are always asking about it, and white people love it.
Because white people white people got to prove to themselves that they're not racist. Right. So I'm telling you, this is a real thing. Like, because they understand white privilege, like they know what's up, so they gotta, convince themselves too by supporting and whatever, because the results are the same. And I understand but I think, like I said,
Thanks. So yeah,
right on the head with that.
So yeah, they if you want one, they just hit me. That's what I need to do. That's a new project. I need to get them online so I can just send people to wear it by him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. You guys know I'm sure you have a busy day. I have a busy day.
Yeah, I gotta be at studio.
I thought Jackie was coming. It sounds like the door keeps opening.
Probably next door or something.
Oh. But that's pretty much it. It was a good show. Keith always dropping knowledge when he comes in. We talked about old girl, the preacher, actress Priscilla Shirer, and Bette Midler, and their shenanigans this week. But yeah, shout out to Deja Iman for listening, and everybody else that tuned in. Shout out to Keith Good News for coming in. Hopefully he got some good pictures. So
I got some fire. I'm about to put some fire up right now. I got some fire for y'all.
Yeah, so that was pretty much it. But like the takeaway, I think, me and Keith are both in here rocking our brand. So rep yourself, like put yourself first and wear yourself on your sleeve so that people can know like what it is that you do. And it doesn't necessarily mean like develop a t-shirt idea or concept, but tell people about who it is that you are. You know, we just kind of have our stuff on our shirt so people can ask and we tell them. But I think it's become like our identity. You know, Keith Good News. I'm just Jasmine. But the initiative is becoming more and more and more of my identity. Even when I go places and they're like, put the name, like I've just put initiative, and people are like, what does that say? And I'm like, initiative, and it opens the conversation every single time. So I'm like constantly marketing.
Great
and
name.
like I said,
another great decision.
Thanks. And I'm the most indecisive person in the world, but when something comes, I know that it sticks. So
you're not indecisive, you're just careful.
I guess I am careful. I am very careful. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I am in the process of looking. Well, I think I have who I'm going to add on to, not the show, but the team. And this will be like a big move for me because I do not like having people around me that cannot produce. So when these people are put on,
I'm excited to see what this does.
Yeah, we're gonna see, and I have like I said, I'm working on a project that it will definitely benefit the community, and I'm trying to, just get it up and running, and yeah, so. Just be on the lookout because there will be some things that the initiative is producing. We did the event thing. You know, the end of the month, we're doing the homeless drive. So make sure you guys look out for that flyer. And if you have any donations, let me know. Hit me up on the initiative, no E at the end, on Instagram. And let me know if I can come pick up some stuff or if you have food or whatever. But that's pretty much it. The takeaway is to wear yourself on your sleeves. Push yourself out there, like go and develop what brand it is that you want, because no one's gonna give it to you. So that's pretty much it. Anything else that you want to say, Keith?
Nah, man, just thank y'all for listening.
Yeah.
Excited. Will the show start tomorrow? Chill Will Radio.
Chill Will Radio.
For I think that you're really gonna.
Right?
Yeah, I think that y'all really gonna do some.
I was
some good
looking
work
at
together.
it. I thought it was last Sunday. I was why did they post him?
Right,
Where's the app? So I went back and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like,
we just did some early promotion. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
We're trying to we're obviously striving to get better at that every single day.
Yeah.
He starts tomorrow. Chill Will Radio. Check it out, man. It's really on the Black perspective for mental health, and it's something you talk about a lot. So I'm definitely excited to see.
Yeah, I was ready last week.
I know
Sunday,
you was on it. But he's looking forward to collaboration. I mean, he's super fired up about being on the station. He really came through. You know, he came through the ringer. He came through. He did a podcast. He could stay consistent, and then he's putting out great content. And this is whole the way he's approaching this mental health thing is amazing, man. Through animated video, all kind of stuff. So. He's a good person that's going to be on this network. I think he's going to fit the culture perfectly.
I'm excited to maybe we can get a show going.
Of course.
I have like
it's not even a maybe. It's done.
Right, and I have like people. What is it called? I don't know. A schedule now of people that want to come on the show.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's different because last year it was like me a lot of the time. So now it's actually like beneficial, or I actually feel good, and it's actually more of a luxury when I can come in and just sit. But we've been having some guests like hitting me up like, yeah, I want to be on the show and this is that, this. So I'm like, we come in here, you got to know what you're talking about. Not everybody's hopping on this show because there's a lot of people that are like, I want to just get on and talk about. No, you're going to talk about something that's going to help our community and how to highlight certain things. So we have some people coming in. I talked to the girl that you sent me, the lady, and that's a dope one. So I'm excited about that.
And by the way, I don't have it exactly right now, but the show's been doing really, really well since you came back. I just want to let you know that.
Thanks, guys, for listening.
Yeah, it's been a lot of post listens, and I think I've
been trying to get those post listeners.
And I mean they've been coming. I usually divide them up at the end of the month because it's easier to see. Some people go back and listen. That often happens. I've heard people say they did that, so I try to do them like that. But even now on our website, you don't even have to go to the secondary site. You go to goodnewsradiostation.com. When you live, you will be the first thing that they see, and they can go right there. Don't have to go no third party, none of that. No speaking or nothing. Go right and listen from the website if you don't have the app and so choose. So changes coming to the app soon. We're still fighting with Apple, but
but we out here doing the thing. I am very pleased. I tell people this all the time. Well, I don't tell people this all the time, but I always think about this. I got you in my corner. I got Dre in my corner, and I'm the only one. I'm the only one with both y'all in my corner.
Yeah.
So I feel like and it makes me feel like I'm doing something good. Even if in my head I'm like, no, you need to do better. I'm like, for them two to rock with me and their teams to rock with me the way that they do, I know like it's something dope. And there's other people that have me in their corner, but them two, you know, when it comes to you and you got the shows popping, Dre got the community stuff popping.
Man, Dre is,
I'm like,
tell you, that's the mayor right there, man.
Mr. Mayor. Like, and people laugh every time. I'm like, what's up, Mayor? And they laugh like, who are you talking about?
Yeah, they don't know. That's because they don't know. That's because they don't know the truth.
Oracle.
They don't know the truth.
Right. So
it's already been said.
That's a thing. But I'm, you know, just to be where I'm at right now with everything and just to have, you know, the people that I have backing me, it's a dope feeling. So even when I leave for 2 months, I come back to support. So I'm happy about that. But that's pretty much it. And then always be on the lookout. The Good News is having their event October 19th.
October 19th. Second annual Halloween game night.
Yes.
It's lit. It's turned.
Dress
it's
up.
So much fun. It's.
I don't know what I don't dress up for Halloween.
You know, and the thing about it, we make it to everybody don't want to go to a Halloween party,
right?
So this is something that you still get that vibe from, but it's activities, it's different. So it's gonna be a good time at Star Hookah Lounge in Los Angeles. Don't go to one in Hollywood. It's 2 of them, but it's one in Los Angeles.
So we'll be posting the flyer for that, but make sure come rock with us. It's always a good time, and there's so many more people on the team. So there's so many more. Not characters. What is the word? I don't know. It's a lot more fun. That's what I was trying to say. Like, there's so many different... I don't know what the word is. I keep getting stuck. But it's a variety of people where it's not just one kind of people there. We're all different, and we all add something different. Yeah, that's not what I was looking for.
No? Okay.
Like, we all just kind of... What'd you say?
Mixed crowd? I'm just going with...
I don't know. I'm just trying to say we all kind of, like, are different, and you're going to definitely be able to vibe with at least one of us.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, we're all just... It's not all the same kind of people, but we're all cool people.
Yeah.
We got to get the chat going back up.
Yeah.
They only talk about Insecure, and I
know, right? I don't watch it either, so I don't never know what to say.
I don't have time.
Yeah, I don't have cable.
Yeah. I don't have cable. I don't have time. And I'm just like...
You got time. You just don't want to use it there.
I do have time, and yes, I don't want to use it there.
Yeah, that's all it is. You don't want to apply 30 minutes of your time there.
I don't need to.
No. I'd rather play the video game, to be honest with you.
I'd rather, or I don't know, do something, listen to some stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. I keep saying that. And I'm going to go. We have games, so wish us luck. My team is probably waiting for me.
They are waiting for you.
The game starts in an hour, but they always get there an hour before.
Right.
But that's pretty much it. This was a good show. It was a dope show. I tried to keep it short for you guys so that you guys will go back and listen to it. I didn't do show notes this past weekend for the show that we did with the girls. Reasons why I need a team. So this week kind of showed me like, yo, you need to make sure. So I did reach out to the people that have been on my mind, and I got some good feedback back. So yeah, I will definitely get show notes out today, but this week was a lot. So that's that. But we'll see. I'll probably do show notes for both shows, for this one and the last one. But make sure you run them back. Make sure you send them to your friends. Make sure you guys, I don't even know who's listening, but you guys have been sending me really good like testimonials about the show, and I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, it just means a lot to me. So thank you for taking that time out to listen and send me a message. But that's it. Listen tomorrow at 10 a.m. and then at 5:30 p.m. There's 2 shows, and then there's the news show at 5:30. Make sure you listen to that one, and then shout out to the Get Right. And that's it. So we'll catch you next Saturday at 10 a.m. live again at the Good News radio station. This is the Initiative Radio Show. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.